Hello, folks, and welcome to On Blast with MG. MG here, and today we're going to do a full review on the Vevor 8 kilowatt diesel heater. It's just past Christmas. Hello, Christmas tree. And maybe in the new year you want to do some camping out in your tent, rooftop tent, or RV, motorhome, whatever you have, and it's a little cold out there. This little baby right here is going to keep you very, very nice and warm. Now, I'm going to give you a full review after just having come back from camping and using it for a 14-hour non-stop stint. I'm going to go through and let you guys know what it came with out of the box, what I've added as far as to make it a little bit better and more user-friendly, and generally how it worked. So let's get started and let's see what we got. All right, so what we got here is, of course, the Vevor diesel heater. It runs off of gas, diesel gas that is, which goes into the unit right up top here. So it runs, this is the little tank in here that holds about 1 whole gallon worth of diesel fuel. Now, on that diesel fuel that I just used for 14 hours, so 14 hours of usage on basically, I kept the temperature in the tent around 70 degrees, which is adjustable from this nifty little Bluetooth controller right up here. That whole 14 hours worth of use, continuous use that is, it ran through the whole gallon. So just about, you can see I'm moving right there, just about, a little bit left of diesel fuel in there. But 14 hours of use, nonstop. Basically at, so I would say it's probably towards the range of the lower settings. 14 hours. I was comfortable. It did not run into one problem. It did not stop once. It gave continuous heat. It was pretty much perfect. So that's what you get for 1 gallon. I bet if you do it at a higher setting, you would probably go through the diesel a little bit quicker. Now, I would still say that even at the highest setting, you're probably going to get about 8-9 hours worth of usage, continuous usage out of this little heater. Okay, so let's go and take a look what comes in the box and what I've added. So in the box came obviously the unit itself, which was assembled just like this. It came with the air filter, which is right there. This is the air intake. It came with the wiring, which was pre-wired. The unit is pre-wired itself. You have some wires coming out the back, and the other ends of the wires were just bare wire. So what I did, and to make it work for me, but you could do this however you want, you need to get yourself, first of all, okay, so I'm sorry. Let's go back a little bit. Besides the wiring that was attached to it and the air filter, which is right over here, it also came with the exhaust, which is broken in 2 pieces, the tube itself, and the cute little muffler there. That works, actually. And that's about all that came in the box. It also came with this little, it's a 3-inch duct, basically, that goes to the front of it right there. So you could attach it and you could blow the air into whatever you want to blow it into. As well as this, it came with this little nifty little attachment that actually helps you direct the air. So this attaches to the 3-inch duct, and you could spin it around on its own here, and you could direct the air whatever you want to direct the air, which is actually kind of neat. So it's a pretty useful little feature right there. So that's what came in the box. So what I've added is, of course, you will need a battery source. So don't get, don't go cheap on these guys. You need to do yourself a favor and get yourself a decent battery. I will link this on Amazon. I got this on Amazon. It lasted, obviously, the 14 hours that I used it when I went camping, and when I came home to charge it, it still had about 50% life left. So this would definitely go, I would say, 30 hours, maybe 24 hours, let's say, if you're using it at a higher setting than I did. But what I got is it's basically a deep cycle 12.8 volt 256 watt hour battery. Okay, so it's a pretty decent battery. You need at least a 12 volt for this, and you need decent, you need to have some decent amp hours with it. So mine has a 20 amp hour rating. I would say I wouldn't go below that. 12 volts with 20 amp hours. You could get away with probably less battery, but I would suggest going with even more so you don't have to worry about recharging it if you're using it for more than 24 hours. I may go ahead and get a different battery, but this one should suffice for now. So I'll link this on the in the comment section. Okay, so I bought this battery because you will need a 12 volt battery to operate this machine. It does not come with one. Like I was mentioning earlier, it came with the wires that come out of the unit, and they terminate it into basically bare wire. So what I did is I went on Amazon, and I will also link this, and I bought myself some clamps, battery clamps that terminated into just bare wires as well, and I connected them with these little caps, and that is it. So what I do when I need to turn it on, I will just take the battery clamps, connect them to the battery, and off we go. We get power to the unit, and it will be visible up front. Okay. All right, so out of the box, this unit does not come, it comes pre-assembled except for the air intake and the muffler. So the muffler comes in two pieces. You just put together the muffler with the little clamps they provide. Pretty easy to do. And then you attach them at the bottom. There are two intake areas right there, one for the exhaust and one for, I can't really see it here very well, and one for the air intake. That's what it looks like at the bottom. So you will need to attach the muffler, and take a look at mine just so that it helps you. The muffler goes closest to the heat output unit. So the muffler is the first exhaust port nearest to the heat, and the air intake is behind that to the rear of the unit. There are no clear instructions. One other thing you need to be aware of, these instructions that come with the unit are very, very, very poorly written. Just to give you a quick example, it's just poorly written English. The heater have manual set the output power mode and automatic constant temperature erasure mode. So, as you can see, they're written, with, no regard for grammar, spelling, or anything like that. So they're pretty useless. Which brings another thought to mind. Why do they not hire somebody out there that speaks better English to write these manuals? I don't know. But that's to help you guys out. Exhaust closest to the heating output, and the air is closest to the rear. Okay. Also, with my unit, there came a nice little remote control that actually works. It functions so that you could increase the heat output or decrease the heat output via Bluetooth, which is about 32 feet. I used it quite often that night when I went camping to increase and decrease the heat, but it also has an on and an off button, which is very helpful. If you want to do it from your tent, you don't have to step outside, and you could do it all from the comfort of that little key fob. Some of them, not mine, but some of them are Bluetooth capable, and you could download a little app that you could control the little Bluetooth unit with. Not in my case, however, they are available with that capability. What I also did, as you can see, I've added some 2x4s and drilled and attached the unit to the 2x4s to raise it off the ground just a little bit. Reason for that, you can see the muffler right there. It comes out pretty close to the ground, so when you actually set it down without the 2x4 pieces, the muffler will touch the ground, and it will actually make the unit unbalanced. So most people that I've seen, they've created something like this where it raises it off the ground. Not only that, you have to be careful that the muffler does get hot on the higher settings, and it will burn what is underneath it. So you have to be careful with that when you go camping, of course, if you're using it in your house. So make sure you get enough clearance to not start a little fire for yourself. So as I mentioned, it came with this little tiny, foot-long little extension that goes right over here, gets placed right on the heat exhaust, and it could direct the heat into your room. So if you're going camping, as you can see, I'll put a picture up on the description. You're gonna need something a little bit more substantial to get the heat from the unit up to the tent. If you're doing a rooftop tent, or even if you're doing a ground tent, you need to get a little bit of distance between yourself and the unit. The unit, although it's diesel, and diesel produces much less CO2 than let's say a gas engine does, it still does produce it, and it produces a few, host of other toxic fumes. So you need to have this unit, fairly away from you. You don't need to have that muffler blowing, in an enclosed space with no ventilation. Although they do suggest that you could use these units inside of a home. It's not recommended. I wouldn't recommend it. Purely for the reason that if you don't have adequate ventilation, you're gonna have toxic gases built up with a chance of death, which is not a good thing. So what I did, not only is the unit outside of my tent, besides the car, or maybe like a few feet away from the car, I also bought an extension of a 3-inch hosing. So I bought an 8-foot one. I'm gonna link this as well. I would suggest you go with a 16-foot one, just to give you a little bit more room to play with. And another thing that I want to mention, these things get pretty warm, so when there's hot air pumping through your duct, it gets actually pretty warm. It would be nice if you had enough length that you could actually kind of wrap this around your tent and have like a little built-in radiating kind of a heat unit. Not only does it blow from the here, but it's also the hose itself. So I got an 8-foot one, but I would recommend you get a 16-foot one just to add that. But what I do with this, this is basically it was a $12 purchase on Amazon. You click it, you connect it obviously to the heating port, clamp it on, and then run that end up to your tent and put it in through a window, and then zip it up, and then you're good to go. And what's the nice thing about this is it's you could direct the heat around your tent by moving this around. So this head right here moves back and forth, so it spins around and it gives you heat, whatever you want to blow it. So that's a really nice little feature. The unit itself, it's very, very quiet. The only thing you can hear from it is a fuel pump clicking. And that's, kind of like a click, 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 click. Depending on if you're on a higher setting, it's going to click a little bit higher, but it's very, it's minimal. It's not going to cause you to not be able to sleep. It doesn't make much noise. The unit itself running does not make much noise at all. It almost sounds like somebody breathing loudly is what I would say. It's very, very disconcertable. I would not say the unit itself is going to cause you any problems as far as noise is concerned. The only thing that might give you a little bit of cause, if you're really sensitive to noise, is the clicking of the pump. So it's just the pump clicking, with this unit. So it did not cause any problems for me. It's a pretty good deal. Right in the back here, the way I hooked this pump up, I brought it out through there and I zip tied it to the fan, to the side of the fan intake. There's a fan right back there that brings in outside air, puts it through the heat exchanger, and then out the other end to blow hot air. You do not want to block that heat, that little fan area back there. So I kind of zip tied mine to the side of it, okay? The other thing that I want to mention about this unit is that the directions, again, like I said, they're not very clear. It's a pretty simple operating unit. Let me see if I can get some more light in here. Yeah, there we go. This little Bluetooth remote control here has 3 buttons: the power button, the up, and the down. You could change certain settings you could go from Celsius to Fahrenheit, but it's pretty simple. When you turn it on, this is something that's going to be very important. You need to give it some time. Turn it on, press the power button, then walk away from it. It's going to take on the first time about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes to cycle itself through and then prime itself. It's going to prime itself, bring fuel, and it's going to start up. At startup, you're going to see a little bit of white smoke coming out of here, and you know it's going to start running. And then, like I said, about 3 to 5 minutes, the unit will start running. The fan will be running, but the unit itself, it takes a little while to warm up. But after it does warm up, let's say 5 minutes, it will blow nice hot air, and it's adjustable. The directions do, speak about some of the adjustments you can make on here, which they're pretty simple to do. It's a pretty simple control unit. There's nothing complicated about it. You could learn this, over the course of, a few minutes. Of course, the instructions are not very helpful. Well, folks, that's about it with this unit. Again, I'm not being paid for this review. I'm not being paid for any of this. However, being a camper and a frequent camper at that, I have always dreamt of a way to keep my tent warm without, taking an additional risk of, CO2 poisoning or any of those things. With a buddy heater, I always worry that thing would, it's too hot. It's not adjustable. It's really kind of, this unit right here is basically answered all of my needs, and it works great. Yes, it is made in China. Units like this, you might get one that's bad, but you know what? When you have to pay over $1,000 for a name brand unit, I don't care. I'm going to buy 2 or 3 of these before I go out there, and get lucky and get a great one, which this one seems to be. Then go out there and spend, $1,500 to buy a name brand unit that, works just the same. The reason these are out now is they're patent expired, and now they're just able to make these, a dime a dozen. The other thing I bought, and I don't have here to show you, but I'll obviously show you in my house. I bought every time I go camping and I have some sort of equipment that's running, especially an engine, I'm gonna have a CO2 detector. So I got a CO2 detector that I put inside my tent so that I know I have peace of mind, for my family and myself, that none of this is, this is, there isn't much that could go real wrong with this, but I need that peace of mind and that safety for my family. So I would recommend you buy yourself a portable CO2 unit that you could just put inside your tent or motorhome or whatever you're doing camping with. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, shoot them down in the comment section, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. Otherwise, thank you for watching, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.